my sweet friends, and welcome to another writing vlog. Today we are working on some NaNoWriMo prep, which I'm super pumped about because I'm really getting into the spirit this year for NaNoWriMo. So we've spent a lot of time plotting this story, which, by the way, if you haven't seen or you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm writing a dark academia novel for NaNoWriMo. I have filmed a video already talking about what it is and what it's about, and then I've also done a video where I was plotting it and brainstorming it. And today we are bringing back the scene outline, which I have not used in so long, but I've been missing it and I really want to use it for NaNoWriMo this year because it helped me so much any other time I've used it. So to recap, a scene outline is just something that I made up. I mean, I'm sure other people have outlines for scenes also, but it is something that I started doing for my stories, and I did the first one in NaNoWriMo 2018 for the first draft of Project Orion, and it helped so much. It was so nice. I don't know how to explain it. It was so organized and beautiful. I love being organized and having a plan. Big plotter over here. I also used it for my draft 2 of Project Orion. I had started to use a scene outline for Project Garden, which was NaNoWriMo 2019, but I started for some reason pseudo-pantsing it, and it went well, so, you know, I'm not gonna complain there, but I feel like when I have used it, it has made the draft a lot better. So obviously draft 1 of Project Orion, which is when I used it, was not the best draft in the world, but it felt like I had some semblance of control over what was going on, and it was immensely better than the first draft of Project Garden when I did not use it. Obviously there were some other things in play, just a little bit of nuance. With Project Orion, I had been plotting and planning it for months and months and months, whereas Project Garden was more like, oh, we're gonna start playing it in October, specifically for NaNoWriMo. But for Project Orion, I had just done scene outline for NaNoWriMo, and it helped immensely with getting through NaNoWriMo and finishing the first draft. So I'm bringing it back because I really miss it, and we're gonna be doing it for Project DA, which is what I'm gonna be working on this year for NaNoWriMo. So in the other preparing for NaNoWriMo vlog that I did like a week ago or 2 weeks, I don't know, whatever, we were plotting and brainstorming. We had 2 major breakthroughs in that video where it was like, cool, great, we have figured it out, because I was struggling a lot with the plot. But we now know what's going on. I have cracked the code. I feel very comfortable with it. I feel like I know where things are going now. It felt like everything kind of clicked into place. So now that we have that, we went from a premise, a concept, an image, to a plot that is now pretty fleshed out, and now we're getting into the nitty-gritty details of actually dividing it up into scenes and bringing the story to life. So I'm super pumped about it. So we're gonna do a scene outline in this vlog, and before we begin, I'm actually gonna show y'all my draft 1 and 2 scene outlines for Project Orion, just so we can get an idea of like what it is, what I'm doing, what I'm filling out. So I hope y'all can see this okay, but this was my scene outline for draft 1. So on this side we have the scenes just numbered, chapter, and then I have who is in the scene, where the scene takes place, what happens in the scene, the goal of the scene. Over here we have the conflict of the scene, and then the resolution. And then on this side we have the goal word count, and this was just, you know, before I started writing the first draft, I wanted to kind of keep track of the word count, make sure it was getting to be like a good normal novel length. So this was just a very basic estimate of what the goal word count was. I wasn't ever really paying attention to it, but it was just kind of to keep me on track. This was the actual word count of the scene, and then this is the running total, which for some reason is not filled out. So these are the first few scenes of draft 1 of Project Orion. This is what's going on in the scene. So just the opening scene of draft 1 of Project Orion. Orionians find a body killed by Maxis. They go to meet up with Luca, who informs them of the protests. They decide to go to the slums to intercept the next hit. Very basic, to the point, just telling it how it is. Same like over here, where city streets of downtown Nuvox. Doesn't have to be specific, that's just setting the scene, you know, trying to get a picture in my head of what's going on. Goal, we have both my goal as a writer and the goal of the characters in the story. So hint at feud with Maxis, introduce Orion, Jens, and Luca, establish setting and current situation, hint at Caius, Watchers, and overall attitudes toward the regime with the protests. Conflict, straightforward, Maxis took out their next hit, so their plan is ruined. The resolution, they decide to intercept Maxis' next hit to get back at him for taking theirs. So going into draft 2 of Project Orion, things were a little bit different because it wasn't a first draft. So see, things are slightly different. We still have the scene down here and the chapter, and instead of doing like the who, what, when thing, I just have characters, location, period, and time, which is basically the same thing. It's just setting the scene. We have like evening to night, the next morning, story event, and then subplots and arcs. So I'm moving it a little bit to the side because I want to show y'all this scene part right here, and I don't want to give stuff away. So I have some changes here, obviously, and this isn't going to be important for draft or Project DA because it's the first draft, but I just kind of wanted to show how I do things. So here I'm logging the changes that I make. So this says changes introduce Poppy. Poppy was not in draft 1, so that's a change. Same here, Argo gives Orion her father's scroll, no Maxis. Originally Maxis was in this scene, I took him out for draft 2. Argo didn't give her the scroll in draft 1. He's doing it now for draft 2. So changing some things. Same here, this was a scene I added, I guess, I don't remember. But up here we have Act 1, and then I also have it split, you know, Act 2, Act 3 for the other ones, because I do use the Save the Cat Writes a Novel beat sheet to plot my books. Okay, so those were Project Orion's scene outlines. I have started on Project DA's draft, or scene outline, I always do that. Obviously it looks a little bit different. I added some color to kind of help with seeing things better. I have scene, chapter, characters, time and place, story event, goal, conflict, resolution, and then I did bring back the word counts, again, just to keep myself on track. Goal, word count, actual, and then running total. So what I'm going to be doing in this vlog is filling out this outline and trying to get it as complete as I can before NaNoWriMo starts. So I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm just going to start filling things out for Act 1, and there may be a gap in a few places, and I really try to do things in chronological order. I never write out of order. I just like to start from the beginning and keep going. But I think there's a few places where, like, I know what's going on in like the first few scenes, and then there may be a gap up until the midpoint, and then the midpoint to the end, I think I've got pretty solid. And I know in the other vlog, I was talking about how I didn't. That was like the second half of the book was what I was struggling with. But after I had that last breakthrough, I don't know what happened. It just all came to me, and it was the nicest feeling ever. So there may be some gaps here and there. I'm gonna let myself skip around, even though I hate it. I'm just gonna fill in what I know for sure. Hopefully going in order, but I know there's gonna be gaps, and that's okay. So I am 3 scenes into this outline so far. It's taking a little bit longer than I thought, but I think what I'm gonna do right now is, so I've been filling out everything that's on there that I was showing y'all. The characters, location, what happens, the goal, conflict resolution, all that stuff. I think what I'm gonna do just for right now while I'm like filling this out is I'm just gonna fill out like the first few columns, the chapter, the characters, time and place, and then the story event. And I'm not gonna fill out the goal, conflict, and resolution of each scene right now. I just wanna get down what actually happens in each scene that I already have. And I don't wanna spend too much time working on figuring out like the goal, conflict, resolution, telling, you know, I feel like that's like on a deeper level right now than what we are going for. Right now I just want to get this basic plot scenes out, if any of that makes sense. And then I'll go in and write out like the goal, the conflict, the resolution, and the word count goals and stuff like that. It's just too early for that right now. So we're gonna do that, hopefully save some time, and yes. Another thing, as I was showing y'all in the Project Orion scene outline, it was very like brief, to the point, just a nice little paragraph of what was happening. For this one, I think what I'm gonna do is sort of make it a little longer, make it a little more detailed. I do like the to the point, short, concise little paragraphs, just a few sentences to show what's going on in the scene. But for right now, at least, I am just kind of writing anything I can think of for this scene, especially because this story is a bit different. It's more of like a thriller. And so, you know, anything I think of, like, oh, maybe I could drop a hint here about something that happens later, anything like that. So I'm making the cells, like, in the scene outline a little bit bigger. We're kind of rambling a little bit more, but I'm okay with it. I like sort of talking to myself and that stream of consciousness feeling. And then probably later for like draft 2, I'm gonna make it a lot more concise. But for right now, for draft 1, I like having a longer, just kind of talking to myself, talking through a scene, just to kind of guide me. So yeah, that's what we're doing right now. Hello everybody, it is a few days later, I think. I don't really remember, but we were working on the scene outline for Project DA draft 1. So I've been working on this a lot, actually, and well, not a lot, sporadically, but every time I do sit down to work on it, it's just coming to me, and I appreciate it so much. I don't know, because if y'all have been, or if y'all watched my last like plotting my NaNoWriMo novel vlog, I was having a lot of issues with coming up with a lot of the plot stuff, and then I don't know what happened, but it just kind of randomly came to me, like all at once, like everything. So what I had been doing, because as I mentioned, I had that 20-page document of just like all the random brain dump notes, everything I have ever thought of for this story. And so what I've been doing is going through and extracting out the scenes from this document and putting it into coherent sentences into the outline. So we, and these scenes are long. I'm going into a lot more detail because I think I mentioned it, I don't remember, but I'm going into a lot more detail for each scene because before in other stories, it was mostly keeping it very to the point, direct, very concise, and now I'm kind of just like going at it and putting all the details I can think of in there. And I kind of like it better this way because I feel like I'm really getting the full scope of this scene and just throw in every little detail that I can think of, especially because I'm notorious for just making notes all over the place in different places and then forgetting where they are and be like, did I want to put this little thing in there? Or like, so I'm just, every idea that I get for a scene, I'm putting it in here, even if it's like, oh, I want to foreshadow to this thing. I just, everything I can think of, I'm putting it in each scene, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Right now, also I skipped around. I know I talked about that. It kind of hurt a little bit because I go in order for everything, but I skipped around because I had, ironically, since I was having the most trouble with it before, the midpoint to the end is like completely figured out, which is crazy to me because it happened in the span of like a day. Honestly, I sat there for like a few hours on my computer one day and it all just came to me. At least the midpoint to the end, everything, like every individual scene. It's ridiculous. I've never had it come to me this quickly, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm having so much fun with the story. Honestly, low-key, I could see this becoming my main situation, I guess, for right now, at least. I'm not gonna say anything on that, but it's fun. I'm having a lot of fun with this. So we have 35 scenes for Project DA Draft 1 so far in this outline. Most of it is just the midpoint to the end. For reference, in my Project Orion Draft 1 scene outline, we had 83 scenes. So obviously, there's, not that I'm gonna compare it to that, but I'm also kind of feeling like Project DA is going to be a lot longer than the word count I normally shoot for, which is about 90,000. Orion is shooting for about 85 to 90,000. I feel like this one's gonna be longer, not in terms of scenes and like having more scenes, because I don't necessarily think that's the case, but I am seeing a potential for a lot of detail involved. I see it being very character heavy, which big fan of. We're gonna see how it goes though, because I'm not the best at that, in my opinion. I don't know, but so we've got a lot going on now. What we need to work on, basically, also what I had done was like only fill in what actually happens in the scene. So if you remember, actually let me show y'all. So we've got the scenes here, the chapter, oh no, oh, what's happening? What's going on? Okay, chapter, characters, time and place, story event, goal, conflict, resolution, and then the word counts. Basically all I did was fill out this column, so I still need to go through and put like who, like the characters that are in the scene, what time and place it takes place in, and the goal, like split it up into like the story elements of like what's going on in this scene. But we aren't going to do that yet because I want to get everything in chronological order first. So my goal now is to basically just do what I have been doing, which is just filling out the story event, but we're going to do it from the beginning to the midpoint, and just fill out the empty spots that I have. Also, the last like 2 chapters or something, I don't have that. I have like the midpoint to the climax. I basically just need what exactly is going to happen in the resolution. And so we're going to fill out everything. After we have filled out the empty spots in the scenes, I'm going to go through and then add in the characters that are in each scene, the time and place that they take place in, because I can't do that yet, because I don't know like the chronological order that everything's taking place in, but I do have a good idea of like how everything is. And also I feel like I'm kind of going back and forth on if I do want to include the goal, conflict, and resolution columns, because I had done that in my Project Orion Draft 2 scene outline, I think. I don't really remember, but I don't know if we're gonna have that. We'll see. I don't know, because I have a really good idea of like how each scene is gonna go, not just because it came to me so quickly, but also because I'm going into so much more detail in each scene box. So I feel like it's just kind of unnecessary or a waste of time to then separate it. I think that's a really good idea to do for beginners, someone who someone who doesn't use scene out. What am I saying? Use a scene out. Someone who's not a plotter is what I'm trying to say. Pantsers. I think that would be very helpful to break down each scene. But I know what I'm doing. I have experience in this, so I may take that out. I kind of just convinced myself. I'm probably going to take those out. And it'll also give me more room for the story event because my screen is so little. And so I can make the story event box bigger, because I'll have like my whole screen is like one box, and that is not even the whole box because there's so many words. But that's the situation right now. That's what we're doing. So I'm going to, but what my goal is right now is just fill in the scenes until the midpoint, and it's gonna be a little harder. So, I have ideas of like what I want to do and what scenes to include, but I think the order is gonna be hard, or I don't know, because the first half is basically showing their friendship and how they become friends, and so it's very character driven in that way. And then the second half is more plot driven because that's where the thriller part comes in. The story is so hard because the littlest bit of information could totally give it away. But the action, the plot driven stuff comes in after the midpoint, or it's more plot heavy after the midpoint, and then the first half is more character driven, and I feel like I struggle a little bit with that, so we're gonna do our best. Anyway, we're gonna fill it out. That's what I'm doing right now. I don't have a lot of time to write tonight. I'm just gonna sit here and write for a little bit. I mostly wanted to explain what was going on and what my plan was, and just kind of update y'all on where we've been, because I have been working on this outside of vlogging, but I'm probably not gonna write too much because we are gonna eat dinner. Devin's making us some soup. But, so yeah, that's the plan right now. And we're gonna write. Hi everyone, it's Halloween, if you can't tell. But we are continuing with making the scene outline. And we are also in the middle of a stream. What's new? We're having a great time. We're in a stream right now. There we go. Zooming in a little bit so we can see everyone. Yeah, we're having a fun time. Hello everybody. But yeah, we're working on the scene outline and we're making some progress. We only just finished the first sprint of the stream. So, also yes, I'm a clown. I'm cute Pennywise. That's what we're saying. But it's not exactly Pennywise, but I wanted a cute clown. But here we are. Okay, so yeah, we're still working on it. Sorry, I love when people always want to get in the vlog and you'll like that. So, yeah, we're finishing this. We're finishing the scene outline right now, or we're working on it. We're gonna finish it tonight because it's also, where is it? Right here, October 31st, NaNoWriMo starts tomorrow. So, yes, this is my outline so far, sort of. It's so hard because it's like, my screen is so small, but this is what we have at the moment. I'm filling in the first half of the story right now. Okay, it's a few minutes later. We're in the middle of a sprint, so everyone's writing now, except for me apparently. Anyway, so we are finishing the scene outline today. It is 6:56 p.m. So we have to have everything ready before tomorrow. I'm so excited. I can't believe it's almost NaNoWriMo. Okay, so we're gonna finish the scene outline. And like I said, I am just going through and filling out from the beginning to the midpoint, basically, because we have the midpoint to the end, besides, you know, the random kind of resolution-y scenes near the end where it's like just tying everything together. But I'm not too worried about that right now. Right now, we need to figure out the scenes between, like, I want to say the beginning to the midpoint, because that's true, but I am also using the Save the Cat, like the 3-act structure beat sheet, and I haven't labeled all the beats yet, except for the midpoint, so I don't know which one exactly it is, but one of those sort of like middle first half points to the midpoint. And I'm just kind of like brainstorming different things that like friends do in a group, and I'm like realizing that it's so hard, and it's like, wow, I haven't had a friend group in years. I'm trying to like remember what people do in college. But I'm having so much fun. Even, like, I'm not even drafting anything yet, but I'm just doing the outline. But I'm having so much fun, like, imagining these characters and, like, just writing what they would do and what they're talking about and hanging out and, like, low-key just, like, complete self, like, wish fulfillment because I just want the cringiest Dark Academia dreams. Just kidding, it's not cringy, but, like going out to eat brunch at, like, fancy restaurants and just, like, smoking weed and drinking all day, which I'm not jealous of that, but, like, you know what I mean. They have like a boathouse and stuff. I'm like, ugh, I want to be these kids. I'm definitely having a little bit more issues with coming up with like these more like first half scenes, because like I said, I was struggling a lot with the midpoint to the end scenes, and then it all just came to me super fast. So I'm hoping that's what's gonna happen right now, but probably not. These are just sort of coming to me gradually. Which is nice, you know. I'm sitting here kind of thinking for a second, and then I'm getting some good ideas, but it's a lot slower. But yeah, it's fun. I'm having a fun time. I'm just gonna go back to planning out these scenes. I don't have a set structure. I wrote a list of like, oh, these could be like just random scenes or events, instances that could take place. And so now I'm trying to see if I want to incorporate those, see if those will work in the scene that I'm, like, in the scene outline that I'm imagining, and also just brainstorming new scenes. I don't know, because the first half is just them getting to know each other and becoming friends and building that relationship. It's very, like I said, it's very character driven. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. So we're just gonna get back into it. Good morning, everyone, and happy NaNoWriMo. It is officially November 1st, so I'm gonna end the vlog here, but I finished most of the outline. I finished all the scenes, writing the story events. I didn't do all of the characters who are in the scene or where the scene takes place and what time, or the goal conflict resolution thing, but I'm not too worried about that, and I can definitely fill it out as I go. But I finished the scene outline and all the story events, and I know what's going on, I know what's happening, and I'm so excited. So I'm gonna end this vlog here since it's officially NaNoWriMo, and that's gonna be a different vlog. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. I appreciate each and every one of you so much, and if you are participating in NaNoWriMo, happy writing to you, good luck. I would appreciate if you could leave a like and a comment on this video. It really helps my channel out a lot. But other than that, that is all. I'm so excited to get into NaNoWriMo. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm gonna see y'all in my next video.